Hi, and welcome to Greenlight Your Own Life with Tiana today. It's my podcast, guys. I am starting the podcast and I am showing you what greenlighting your own life looks like. I actually have been doing this for a very long time. I knew at a very young age that I wanted to be a dancer, but having big city dreams in a small town was kind of frowned upon. And at that point in my life, I didn't care. It's like, this is my destiny and I'm going to find my way to the end. Trust. My mom ended up taking me to New York City. And I remember looking at her at 9 years old and saying, Mom, I'm going to move here. And that's exactly what I did. Out of high school, I pursued my dance career in New York, and it was not the easiest. I lived off of ramen noodles. I had a cell phone that I'm pretty sure my mom was paying for. I did not understand any responsibility, to be honest with you, but I was out there living my life at a young age of 20. And I think that's the best time to know that you're having a good time and not care that you're broke. I stayed out at all hours of the night, but I was also working my tail off. I was working at Red Bull. Do you guys remember Red Bull? When you would see like a street marketer, they had a backpack and they were like, hey, just take this can of Red Bull. I promise you'll have more energy. Well, I was that girl during the day. And then when my shift was over, I would go and take dance class. I found myself in a really cool community of dancers that welcomed me with open arms. And I'm so thankful. And they looked at me and they were like, hey, do you want to go to LA to this thing called Carnival? And I said, sure. I had just gone on all these auditions. No one was booking me. I would get to the very end and I thought my world would crumble. So at this point I said, I have nothing else to give but to just go for it. So we went to LA, we hit Carnival, and there were so many incredible people in that room. Wade Robson, Brian Friedman, I'll always say their names because they saw me before there was an audition, and the audition was for Britney Spears' I'm a Slave for You. And honey, I booked it. That's right. I booked it. And then shortly after that, I booked Christina Aguilera, and I did it. I did what people back home thought I couldn't do. And so I made the decision to move to LA, and I'm so glad that I did. I greenlighted my life, and I ended up going on tour with many pop stars for 10 years of my life. And I had a fantastic time doing it. Met my husband on one of the tours, been with him ever since. And it's just been this really awesome ride of a life. Well, guess what? At the edge of my career, at the edge of my dance career, I said, I want more. I need to understand what is beyond what I know to this point. And I didn't want to be a choreographer. I knew that in my gut. I wanted to be really honest that that wasn't something in my cards, but maybe assisting the choreographer. And I kept trying and nothing. I was like, okay, whatever. I'll just do what comes naturally to me. And of course, because out of dance, this naturally happens, I got casted as an on-camera choreographer for a TV show, for a couple TV shows actually. And I found myself in producer conversations and I was like, oh, this is cool. And I fell in love with it. And out of that spun a show that I got to help produce and say, okay, this is the dance style and this is how we should set the rules. And I was really a part of like that creative process. I didn't know that I was producing. I thought I was just a choreographer, but when I left out of it, I said, oh, I think I was producing. And rightfully so. You got to figure it out along the path. Anyway, so my manager at that time, after I had finished those shows, said, hey, there's an interview for America's Got Talent. Brian Friedman is looking for an assistant. I said, put me in. Let's go. Green light. Come on. Green light. And I nailed the interview because I had just come off TV shows. I had all the confidence in the world. I respected Brian and wanted him to know that I was made to be his assistant. And I did it. We worked together for years. We did X Factor, the US and the UK, America's Got Talent. We worked with Bieber and Nicole Scherzinger, and it was just another wave of great pop music. And I worked with other creative directors and on other shows like The Voice, the Grammys. And then when it was my turn to be a creative director, I'm so proud to say that for many seasons on The Masked Singer, I led a diverse and all-female team to the finish line. And that same team was the creative backbone for Dick Van Dyke's 98 Years of Magic. So I did it again. I overcame what people in the dance community thought I couldn't do. I am just like on fire at this point. Cut to 2023, and I realized that I'm starting to get a little like unhappy in my life. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes when you're at some place for quite some time, you start to become stagnant. That same feeling that I was feeling at the edge of my dance career. And I was like, what is more? What is more? What is more? And I didn't have the answer, but I knew that I was curious enough to figure it out. So at the top of 2024, I had a reset. I had to redefine who I was. What was I about? How did I want to carry myself? Who did I want around in my circle? And I'm so glad that I did. I shed a lot of relationships that weren't serving me at the time. I shed creative ideas that I didn't think was moving me in the right direction. I had the support of my husband and my family in every direction, emotionally, financially, because your girl was down. Your girl was down and out. I was crying at Universal. Like I would just melt down. I would have these like gut-wrenching meltdowns. And if you can relate to that as an entrepreneur or a talent or somebody in this industry or anybody really, like when you have to hit reset, it hits deep. So in that moment, I realized I need to do something that I have full confidence in. And how do I want to do that? I didn't have the answer right away. I tried a lot of things. I tried selling things on Etsy. I put a clothing company together, and that didn't do much, but just felt like a creative expression. So then I found myself really kind of pushing forward, greenlighting my life. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to wait for somebody to give me the permission to be awesome. I don't want to wait anymore for somebody to tell me that it's okay to be the way that I am. And that's whether it's in my life or whether it's on the job or anything. I just wanted to do things, not just my way, but just like believe in myself for myself and not for anybody else. How about that? And so in doing so, I ended up putting myself out there on Instagram Live and built an email list. And I was really just kind of putting one foot in front of the other. And next thing you know, that Greenlight Your Life took action. And now I am the head director of Creative Director Pro Academy, which is an intensive program. And then I've also opened up a community that serves a year-long conversation about what it takes to step your life up as an entrepreneur, it's a conversation that helps you set yourself up in the business to show people that you are more than what they met you as. So this is the podcast, and we're going to have conversations more about this. We're going to have conversations with other people in the industry who took the reins and decided to greenlight their own life as well. And I'm just really excited to catapult this, get it off the ground, get this conversation out there because not enough people are talking about it. But if you want to join, you know where to turn. You can follow me on Instagram at Tiana Today. I'm also having a little fun on TikTok as well. I don't know. It's a little liberating over there. Anyway, that is who I am. I'm so excited to start this journey with you. And if this is the type of conversation that you're excited to continue, then go to my website, tianatoday.com and www.tianatoday.com. You can get all the links there to sign up for my inspiration inbox, which I send every Tuesday. That is a story, an industry story, a personal story. And I also share 3 takeaways, 2 mood boosters, and 1 must-have. I thank you for listening today, and I will see you on the next one. Ciao, ciao for now.